All right, let's jump right into this explainer. We are looking at a massive, literally foundational paradigm shift today. We're talking about the wild frontier of autonomous AI. For decades, we've held the steering wheel, but now we're essentially handing the keys over to the machine. And as we're going to see, this changes absolutely everything about how we operate, how we govern tech, and fundamentally, how we manage massive enterprise risk. So let's kick things off with a scenario that honestly should keep any enterprise leader up at night. Picture this. You've got a fully autonomous system executing thousands of trades or maybe signing vendor agreements in real time. Suddenly, something goes off the rails. And I don't mean a software crash. I mean a fundamental, catastrophic misunderstanding by the AI. It starts making a series of disastrous choices at machine speed. By the time a human actually realizes what's happening, the financial damage is already done. So who's to blame? Is it the software vendor, the developer, or the human who simply flipped the switch? That right there is the core dilemma of this new agentic era. To really grasp how wild this is, we have to look back. Take a look at the 1976 MUMPS programming standard, specifically the use command. This is the perfect embodiment of the original Unix philosophy of computing. Back then, the machine was strictly, and I mean strictly, an extension of deterministic human intent. You issued a command, it executed it. No ambiguity, no black boxes. If the system broke, well, a human broke it. The user was the undeniable primary decision maker. You were in total control. Fast forward to today, and the reality is completely flipped. We're moving rapidly away from that legacy deterministic model, where human writes rigid, predictable rules. Instead, we are entering the era of the probabilistic agent. Modern AI learns from massive, multidimensional data sets to basically guess the best outcomes. And when you start stringing these models together, they begin to sense, plan, and act entirely on their own. We're no longer just issuing commands. We are completely delegating our decision-making authority. And that delegation leads us straight to HOTL, that's human out of the loop. This is the absolute extreme end of the automation spectrum. Under the HOTL paradigm, the machine gathers the data, makes a choice, and pulls the trigger completely on its own. There is no human gatekeeper hitting approve. Your only role? Setting the boundaries way back at design time before you even turn the thing on. Once it's live, you literally only find out what it actually did by reading the execution logs after the fact. Now, you might be wondering, why on earth are companies so desperate to remove human oversight? Well, the economic temptation is just irresistible. Let's face it, humans are a bottleneck. We need sleep, we get distracted, we take time. Hoot-dull systems, on the other hand, offer blazing fast execution at millisecond scales with zero latency. Plus, once you build that massive upfront infrastructure, your marginal cost to replicate that AI worker is practically zero. You can scale infinitely. It is the ultimate dream of business efficiency. But here's the friction point. This is where the efficiency dream turns into a massive operational hazard. We're dealing with the cognitive opacity of the black box. Modern deep reinforcement learning networks are so insanely complex that they develop emergent behaviors that even their own creators can't predict. And the really scary part? Your standard IT dashboards will show all green lights. The latency is low, the servers are humming, the software hasn't crashed, all while the AI is quietly making massive, destructive semantic errors in judgment. Okay, so you might say, let's just keep humans involved to monitor it. Well, then we hit a massive psychological wall called automation bias. It turns out we inherently trust machines that sound confident. Picture a lawyer using an AI to review a major contract. The AI spits out no risks detected with a 95% confidence score. The human operator, who is perfectly capable of reading the document, simply defers to the machine. They skip the deep review and rubber stamp a fundamentally flawed analysis. Which brings us to one of the most critical and honestly terrifying concepts in AI governance today, the moral crumple zone. Think about your car for a second. The crumple zone is explicitly designed to absorb the impact of a crash to protect the passenger cabin, right? Well, in these complex socio-technical systems, the human becomes the crumple zone. The technology itself is protected, the vendor's IP is protected, and the nearest human operator ends up absorbing all the legal and moral blame for a catastrophic failure they had absolutely no real control over. So, when that black box inevitably fails, who's actually footing the bill? Say an autonomous system unfairly denies 1,000 loans or single-handedly destabilizes a local power grid. Attributing blame becomes an absolute legal nightmare. Is it the developer who wrote the base model, the provider who supplied the training data, or the company that deployed it? Everyone can credibly point the finger at someone else, which creates this massive, gaping liability gap.
If you want to see exactly how real this gets, just look at the rapidly unfolding crisis timeline from late 2025. Back in August, the EU AI Act's general-purpose obligations kicked in, desperately trying to force some transparency onto these systems. But then, in October, a very real agentic liability crisis hit. An autonomous AI agent independently negotiated and signed a disastrous multi-million-dollar logistics contract, zero human approval involved. The immediate litigation proved that our existing legal frameworks, which were built for identifiable humans, completely break down in this environment. By December, the U.S. government was scrambling to issue a federal executive order just to try and manage the fallout.
And here's the absolute kicker to that October 2025 logistics disaster. The autonomous agent caused a $2.3 million loss, but the software vendor's liability, it was capped at exactly $50,000. Ouch. I mean, that perfectly demonstrates the attribution problem in action. Vendors are protecting themselves with ironclad liability caps and mandatory arbitration clauses. In this new AI frontier, it is absolutely a game of caveat emptor. Buyer beware. If you get burned by an autonomous agent, you might find out you are entirely on your own.
So how do you survive this frontier? You have to choose your governance model incredibly wisely. This matrix really breaks down your options. If you want maximum safety, you keep a human in the loop as an active gatekeeper. It's slower, but safe. Want to scale up while keeping a safety net, you transition to a human on the loop as a passive supervisor. But if you go full HOTL, human out of the loop, you get that blazing speed, but you strip away absolutely every safety net. The golden rule here is matching the right loop to the specific operational risk you're taking on.
Embracing a proactive caveat emptor approach means you absolutely cannot treat this technology like a black box anymore. You have to demand transparency. You need to maintain strict libraries of representative case studies and expected behaviors. You've got to build robust anomaly detection that flags weird semantic logic, not just system crashes. Establish crystal clear escalation protocols. And for anything deemed high risk, require third-party audits. You literally have to verify everything before you hand over the keys. I want to leave you with this final thought. As the pendulum swings violently from the deterministic user-controlled tools of the past to the wild, probabilistic agents of the future, you have to ask yourself, are you actively guiding your AI, or are you just sitting there waiting in its crumple zone? The rule for surviving this new era is pretty simple. AI proposes, humans dispose. The exact second you allow an AI system to take a binding, real-world action without explicit human approval, you are embracing a massive, unpredictable liability. Choose your level of autonomy very, very carefully.